Hey, so a lot of people in life are playing on a few archetypes or roles that are repetitive and they're sort of stuck with. Basically, in life, we have a lot of experiences. Some are good, some are bad. So those experiences shapes us. Of course, everyone knows this. But the ones that stand out the most create the roles that we tend to take and play for the rest of our lives. Usually, most people do. And so it goes on the various levels, but usually it's going to be few complete opposites. And it's going to be on few levels, meaning being the nice guy and being the dick, being the warrior, but also being lazy as hell, being an amazing manifester, creator, innovative, having all these ideas, and all of a sudden, well, the game's too easy. Why do anything? And it's going to go on several levels to the point where something's going to be in the middle. It's going to be the usual roles you play. It might be your casual take in life where throughout the day you have some interest, you're going to do some research, you're going to read, you're going to be engaged. And at the same time, it's going to be kind of like complete apathy or boredom where you don't want to do anything at all. Like, life sucks. Why live? Why bother? For others, it's going to be lust. So all of your sexual fantasies and all these ideas and let's say watching porn, having addictions, masturbation and stuff. Let's say, okay, lust, there's that, right? But then we're gonna go into craving for stuff. Smoking, sugar, eating all the goodies. Let's say drinking coffee, playing video games, watching movies. Like, it's something we're gonna want. It's quick to get. We get this little dopamine and we're satisfied. Like, ah, yeah, it was good. And we're done. That's it. Great. And then the opposite, we're gonna have something else, but it's gonna fall lower. Maybe we have fear. Maybe we have anxiety about life. Like, oh, well, I don't know what tomorrow's gonna bring. Or worrying about the money. Like, all of a sudden, something you wanted was so easy to get, but now you have this fear about money. Or, oh, I'm poor. It's hard to make money. And we keep on telling ourselves that story. And then we learn, we read tons of spiritual books, read books on self help and psychology and everything else. And doing all of these exercises, working on yourself daily, working and trying and doing, and we're just trying to change that story, to change our character, but we're still usually unable to push through the hardest levels to change ourselves completely. And we're sort of jumping between those levels. Something in the middle that you are usually at, and then you're working hard, you're pushing through, you jump that one little level above, and you're better. Now you're in that like fighter. You're like, oh, there's so much injustice in the world, and I hate that. And you're gonna fight for the truth, and maybe you're gonna tweet about something, maybe you're gonna go into the protest, maybe you're gonna make a video or do something. And then you're active and you're fighting and then you see no changes, you go into hate, and then you give up, and then you don't do anything. And then you fall into your usual lust place. And then from lust, like, so you're just jumping up like on all of these levels. But usually people playing those roles being stuck. They go into several characters. So, people talk about this bipolar disorder or schizophrenia or having too many personalities. Everyone has tons of personalities. It's just that different situations will call out a specific character that you're playing, but usually you're just being a few that will change. It's going to be complete opposites. And that's the hardest part. The hardest part is that we're working to change the character, but we have to stop playing it at all. And of course, easy for me to talk, but I worked on myself and I saw how, doing all of these sessions, removing entities, soul contract release work, like anything spiritual, amazing. And then reading all of these self help books. Jordan Peterson, Tony Robbins, Lewis House, like you take it, tons of people with great information, and then, you work on improving your diet, working out, doing tons of things daily, getting a job and switching careers and everything else, and you do those things and you're still finding yourself in that same character. Mm, well, what's with that? And it's like the thing I find about us when I get out of body, or let's say if we would look at another character of us, if you were to fall asleep and you dream about you in another world, and if you have this lucid dream where you have some control and you can ask that aspect of yourself, do you remember your past lives? that aspect will say yes. Is it important? No. Because in that moment, you playing in that world, playing whatever role you're playing, even though you have full access to anything, you choose to be very present in a specific role, character, game, whatever you're playing. And with that, it's kind of like, okay, you're watching a recent movie. Maybe you're watching Dune. Maybe you're watching Interstellar. Maybe you're watching something else. You do not need to be thinking about all of these movies you ever saw. Of course, if you're a critic and if you're going to rate the movie for everything else, sure. But you're kind of like in the moment, enjoying the movie. So while you're at it, there's no need to think about everything else. And same way with our character, we have to drop the story. So, if I'm being this, I'm really engaged working with people, talking to them, and at the same time, okay, I'm enough. Too many people, too many problems, too many sociopaths, psychopaths. I have to take a break from people. And I'm in this place where I have to constantly switch. And so for me to work through that, I had to let go of the character. Jumping from one to the other, yes, is a thing. Working through it, doing spiritual work and like all this psychological work and working on self and everything else, that is great. But eventually, we're still stuck in that loop, that cycle, unable to push above. Or maybe it changed, but there's still levels with the characters we're playing, and it's just dropping the story. Yeah, there is a part of me that would like to take a break from people. There's a part of me that would be into engaging with people, helping them out, talking to them, finding out their stories and everything. And I'm just gonna drop the character and play something completely different. Maybe you find yourself in relationships where, oh, you love your partner. You would do everything from her or her. I mean, the world to you. And you're just like really comfortable in the relationship, but at the same time, kind of feeling stuck. Kind of feeling maybe a little bit controlled. Maybe you don't have the full freedom. You don't want to be there. Like, there's tons of positives, but you find that, like, yeah, I would like more time for myself. I would like more support or something. And it's just like dropping the character. It's just like, yeah, great. Relationship is amazing. But I'm going to go. I'm going to get my thing. There's part of me that would feel suppressed. Part of me that would like to feel like, oh yeah, in my character, I have a hard time standing up for myself or talking or, like I'm gonna close up or whatever. You just drop, act completely the way that's unlikely to you. And that's the hardest part. So I wonder how many of you have actually tried, because it's very difficult, but the more you practice to act against your character, like you get triggered and you want to fight for that justice. You want to say that last word. You want to explain to them. But then letting go of the character, why? There is no need. Maybe the person doesn't want to understand. Maybe they don't even care. So why try to act out and then, like try to explain something, getting more triggered, getting too engaged, even in relationships. Like, oh, there's this part of you that got triggered, and now you're gonna react, and now you're gonna explode, now you're gonna have some bickering or whatever is going on in the relationship. But at the same time, you can catch yourself in that moment, knowing that, oh yeah, when this happens, I react a certain way and I get into this character and this is what I do. You know your steps, you know your patterns, you know what you're like. And the hardest part is choosing not to be that character that you've played for so long. And it's just the story, the patterns, the habits, the logic we have. And with this, we have to look at certain situations that have happened in our lives. And for me, I just remember, when I was a kid and we're in the fields of my grandparents and we're harvesting potatoes and other food and stuff like that. And my brother, like I'm a kiddo, about 9, 10, and my brother's like, oh, like the cow's more useful than you, and you just, even the rat's better than you. And it just hurts so much, feeling like I'm useless, like, trying my best, but everyone's saying, like, oh, you're a girl, you're not supposed to carry that, you're this, you're that, da 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 da. And it just hurt. Like by logic, I was like, I'm trying to do my best. People are not allowing me to do something. So if I don't do something, I'm a rat. Am I worse than a rat? And I'm worse than a cow. And my like self-worth went really down. And that was stuck with me for a while, where I was like overcompensating. I was overcompensating with no matter what. Even if I have free time throughout the day, I cannot allow myself to rest or do anything fun or just be consciously lazy. I have to constantly do something. I have to like try to overcompensate, be useful in every possible way. I have to be better than my brother. I had to work more than more people like than others just because I tried to prove to myself and to others that look, I have more worth than a rat. I have more worth than a cow. But that was like really messed up logic. Because if you go back into that moment of what was happening, me reacting, I took his words and created a whole different story by what I saw. What happened was my brother was lazy. And he was just like, okay, bored, lazy. Um, he just commented. That's it. Few words he said, and that's let go. He didn't have a logic connected. He didn't really think that I have no worth. It's just something he said. It's just words. But I was the one to give them a meaning. I was the one to define what it means to me. It had nothing, anything like that. And so we live our lives looking at what happens. We see, we create the story, we define it, we give the meaning to it, and we live by that character. And to be able to let go of it, we have to look at what happened, look from different perspectives, and sort of disperse the logic. The story we created is actually false. Most of the time, it's just a lot of assumptions. We didn't know what the other person was thinking. They just say some words. Oh yeah, being useless is just words. Feeling something, it's just words. So going through a lot of instances of life, if you've been hurt, if something happened to you that kind of traumatized you, I know a lot of people are in this thinking that, yeah, some harsher experiences do shape us. They did help us out. Some people think that we need these kind of experiences to grow, others don't, and it's fine either way. But the most important part is that we would be able to look at the situation freely from every perspective without attaching, making up some stories, creating a meaning, and then living a false story our whole lives. So to be able to look back into some of the incidents, to let go of that false logic that worked for us for a while, it explained to us, but it wasn't real. We made it up. And so to let go of that character, or even if it happened, even if they meant that stuff, even if the words did hurt you, to be able to look back and to look at everything you've done from that moment up until now, you've changed. You proved it to yourself. But of course, you want to prove it to others. But others don't care. They don't care about you. And you have to love yourself enough to be able to let go of that false story, of that false character you're playing that wasn't working for you, and to be able to love yourself and say, I don't need it anymore. That was the role I played. I fulfilled that role. If you were a victim, if you were hurt, if you were isolated, if you had no friends, if everyone abandoned you, and you have lived in tons of different characters, trying to make up for that, trying your best to play differently, it's time to let go. And then think of a character that you would like to be instead. And I know it's really hard for someone who's abandoned to try to act like, oh, look, I have everything. I live in abundance. I have people that love me around me all the time. To live in that character is really hard if you don't have it, if you don't see it, if you don't experience it. Some people in their whole entire life don't even know what it means to rest, to take it easy, to be relaxed. It's freaking hard. But trying to imagine or what you would like it to be, you define it for yourself and try to live that character different, to let go of that story. So playing these characters, you might reflect at who you are throughout the day, throughout the week, how you change, what kind of roles you jump into, and the complete opposites, because you will have both. And then looking at that, what kind of role would you like to be playing instead? And all you have to do is let go of the story, let go of the logic. Doesn't matter anymore. It's just what you were saying to yourself to comfort yourself. No one else cared. No one. It's just you. It just had the meaning to you only. So you let go of that, drop it, say like, oh, I don't need that story anymore. It worked for a while, not anymore. And you start playing a new character. But for that new role to kick in, you had some incidents happening. You had some events, you had some emotional reactions, and you worked at it really hard to get into it and to constantly feel it and play it and be in it. So with the new character, once you try to let go of the old stuff, tune in into something new you want to play and start playing it, it's like a muscle. You have to build it. So living in the abundance, being successful, feeling like you're constantly in the money flow or you're getting better, you have a job or something, you're living your amazing love life, it's a muscle. And then we have to practice it every single day, little by little. Just tune into that role for a few minutes, maybe even a minute. Don't work too hard on it unless you want to. Just practice, let go, keep on playing something else. But it's a muscle. If you want to be successful, if you want to get out of this, oh, well, I want to have psychic abilities and I don't. Okay? That's the story you've been telling yourself. But now, every single day, tell yourself, my psychic abilities are amazing. And then do a little practice. Doesn't have to be something spectacular. Think about, like, okay, I'm going to pick up a clock on my phone and look at the time. But before you look at the time, try to guess what time is it. And just keep on playing it. Every few minutes, every few hours, randomly, you're going to pull out the phone, guess the time, look at the time, and you will see how your psychic abilities, your intuition, goes up real high to where anytime you look at your phone, you're going to get it right. You will know who's going to call you before they call you. You will know a lot of events, but it's a muscle, and you have to build it. So feel free to pick out characters you want to play, work out letting go of the story that's not working for you anymore, and start playing something that you want to experience. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.